I paid for this announcement. Okay, says the Mishnah on Ayin Tes on the days. Ayin Tes on the days says we get closer to finishing Kidushin and Seder Nashim. Okay. Misha Yatso Hu V'ishtolim Dinas Hayom. A man leaves, him and his wife, they go overseas. Ubahu V'ishto Ubanov, and he returns. He has a woman with him. He has his sons with him. And he says, Isha Sheyatzas Imi L'Medinas Hayom. Right? Hari Hizu, this is the same one. In other words, we checked out her yichus before they got married. We checked out her yichus before she got married. Now they're married, and he's believed to say this is the same woman. In Memela, if it's the same woman, ubaneha ve'elu baneha, and these are her children. Ain't tzarich levi raya. You don't have to bring a raya to yuchsin. Lo ala ishav lo ala banim. The Gemara is going to say it's speaking where the children are attached to the woman. In other words, they're kruchen alaha, that that you see that this is their mother, that this is their mother. So again, you don't have to bring a raya. Why? Because you checked her out before they got married, and the children, since they're karach after her, we have a chazaka that this is the mother, and therefore you don't need a yichas al yedei edom. You don't have to miyachas al yedei edom. That's provided she now mesa ve'elu banecha. Now he leaves. We has a woman with him. And he comes back and he says, my wife died, but however, these are her children. Maybe raya labanim, maybe raya ala isha. Right? He brings what? A raya on the banim, that they're the children of that particular isha. Right? And he doesn't have to bring a raya that is right, that she was mucheses, right? Because they already checked when she got married. So if the mother's not there, then we have to be miyachas the children. Isha nasasi b'mdinas hayom. He leaves, he was bachelor. He was free. And now he leaves and he says, I married a woman in Medinas Hayom, Hari Hizu, and this is the woman I married. So in other words, where we are now, there was never a Bedika on her youth. Right? Ve'elu baneha, and these are what? These are her children. Maybe Raya la Isha, he brings a Raya on the woman, and Sarach le'Elabonim. Because again, once you miyachas the Isha, we're not questioning that these children are her children because they're karach, they're bound to her. So once you go ahead and do the bedika on the yichus of the woman, the melee works for the children as well. However, you have tarti l'reisa, mesa, so you never did a yichus check on her, the eila baneha, right? And now these are her children. So right, and these are her children. Did I mess up? Maybe mesa ve'eila baneha. I messed up, guys. I think I missed something. Maybe Raya maybe Raya Isha. Okay, now he says Isha Shenasasi Medina Sayam. Arihizu Vela Baneha, maybe Raya Isha, and Sarach maybe Raya Labanim. Right? Once you miyachas the woman. Now, however, Mesa, if he says he left without anybody. He said I got married and she died. Ve'ela Baneha. That's the scenario where you're going to have Sarach Levi Raya. Alabonim the Alisha the Alabonim over there because you have no hoichacha whatsoever. Look at the last Rashi in the Mishnah. Mesa ve'elabaneha she'ein kan shum hoichacha. You have no proof, fellas. Maybe Raya ala Isha shin yucheses. Since she wasn't when you left, you didn't have any wife, so you have to go ahead and be miyachas her, correct? The albonim and also the children shemi oisa Isha hayu. Since there's no woman here, again, what's the haichacha on the children? Guys, when does it work a riot for the children? When there's a riot from the mother. But how do you know? That's only when you know that's the mother by the act that they are attached to her. But over here, you have no woman because you never had a woman. She wasn't here when you left, and she's not here now. And why does he have to be a second? What? There's no second wife. There's only one wife. There's only one wife. There's only one wife. There's no wife. In other words, he left, right? And he says, my wife, I got married and my wife died. I have no wife. Mesa, she's dead. There was never established a yichus whatsoever. There was never a yichus established. That's the key. There was never yichus. So if there's never a yichus established, so you don't have a raya on the children. And even if you establish a yichus on the mother, you still don't know if these children are what are are her children. So therefore it says Mesa available now. The last Rashi she'en kan shumay chacha maybe raya ala isha shim yucheses and v'ala badim sha'ma'isa isha hayu. In other words, how are you miyachas the kids, fellas? How miyach? You tell her, are you thinking that she's dead? So what do you have to miyachas her? And what's the answer? How else are you going to miyachas the kids? You need to be miyachas the woman in order to miyachas the kids. So you're going to have to do two things over here. One, you're going to have to prove that she had yichus, and two, you're going to have to prove that they're her kids. Got it? Okay. So again, the Mishnah, if you leave and there's a woman leaves with you, you come back. This is my wife that I left with. You don't have to do anything. Not on the woman. Why? Because you did it when you first got married. Yes. Why not the kids? Why not the kids? Because they're attached to the woman, right? But on the other hand, the reverse kid. I'll give you two extremes, right? The other case is where you didn't leave with a woman, right? And you married overseas and she's dead, so you have no hoichacha whatsoever, and you have kids coming back and you say these are her children. So you're gonna have to prove the yichus of the wife because we didn't prove it when you got married, and then they're gonna have to prove how do you have to prove that the kids are her kids, and as a result you'll be machas the kids. All these cases where you don't have to go ahead, and when it said in the Mishnah you don't have to bring a raya on the children, is speaking where they're karach. You could tell that there is that's the mother, that's mommy, right? Tan Rabbanan. Isha nasasi b'medina sayam. I married a woman overseas. Maybe raya la isha. You bring a raya on the isha. And certainly raya la bonim. Why? Because ostensibly they're attached to the woman, and therefore you know what they are. Umaybe raya ala gedolim. It's very right. You don't have to be raya on bonim. Umaybe raya ala gedolim. And certainly raya ala ketonim. Right? You bring a raya what on the gedolim, I guess, because the gedolim are not what. They're not korach after her, right? And if it's two women, maybe raya isha bi'ala banim ala gedolim ala katana. Okay, let's see Rashi here. Masasi yishim dinas hayam, maybe raya isha, maybe raya banim. But Messiah ba'azal, be'elu banim. Which banim are we speaking about? B'katanim, v'la b'gedolim. Dim hevi raya gedolim shein kruchem achar aim maybe raya ala katanim. If you bring a raya to the gedolim that are not attached, so certainly the katanim are attached. So therefore, you have to bring a raya on the gedolim, but you wouldn't have to bring. Why? Because obviously you don't know if they're kids. You don't have a chacha. They're gedolim. They're not going after the mother, mommy. Well, at least in that time they weren't. Right? They were going after mommy. So therefore, once you bring a raya, gedolim, bring it now. The medam mamurim, it says be'isha achas. This is speaking what? This is speaking by one woman. Rashi, Sha'ama Isha Achas Nasasi, I married one woman. If he says Shtei Nashim Hayu, I had two wives. Umesa Achas, one of them died. Ve'elu Baneha Shelzu, right? These are her children. Maybe Raya Aleha, Shim Yucheses, you bring a Raya on the dead woman. The Alabonim, did you have to bring the Raya in the bottom? Shame Bonim, right? Ala Gedolim, the Alakatanim. I feel a Kruk Machareha, the Shema Baneha Shachar Rasal, here we go. Like this. You got two women, right? You got two women, and he comes back and he's got two sets of kids. The younger kids are being korach after the woman, and the older kids are older kids. So you would think the following: on the older kids, you have to check out the yichus, yeah. But the younger kids, you wouldn't have to check out the yichus. Why? Because they're korach after what? After this woman, but it's not true, because it could be this is a stepmother, because he said one died overseas, so it could be the children are the ones of the dead overseas. They're korach to this one because their mother's dead. So the fact that they're korach to this woman is not a raya that they're miyuchis. So that's what Rashi says, right? So how do you stick it in the words of the Gemara? Let's stick it back. Let's go ahead and stick it back in the words, right? Tan Rabbanan. Ishin asasim dinas hayam. Maybe raya ala isha and tzarich maybe raya ala bonim. When maybe raya ala gedolim you'd have to bring a raya too. Then tzarich maybe raya ala katanim because the karach afterwards. The medam amurim, that's when you don't have to bring a raya on the katanim. That's b'isha achas. Aval b'shtei noshim where he had two wives and one of them is dead. Maybe raya ala isha. He's got to bring a raya on the woman. and on the bonim. Ala gedolim, of course, you have to bring a raya. V'ala katanim. Why do you have to bring a raya on the katanim? Because maybe the children that have been kairach in this woman, it's a stepmother and it's not a real mother. That's what's over here. Reish Lakish. Says Reish Lakish. Loi shanu, we did not learn. Loi shanu, that we're soymich on what? On the fact that the little kiddies, they're being kairach after this mother. Ella bikochi hagvul, regarding eating truma that is eaten outside Yerushalayim, right? That this is woman was ksheil kahuna, and the children are not chalalim. In order for the girl to marry a kohen, loy, we won't be soymich on what? The chazaka of kruchim. Again, we don't have edis that this is their mother. What do we have? We have an umdana. We have a circumstantial evidence. You have a raglayim lidava that this is the mother. For you're viewing the case and the way it's going, it appears it's the mother. Good. Up to a point. We're not going to let, if there's a female over here, says Rashi, we will not let the female marry into kuna. We will let them eat truma. That's what it means over here, because she had gavul, right? We're not going to let them eat kavarnis even, because she had gavul. Avol be yuchsin. When regarding yuchsin, I'm going to go with Rashi's. Machlekes Rashi and Taisus. We'll stay with Rashi. Regarding yuchsin, then what? Look at Rashi. Yuchsin, 4 lines down. Em yesh behem banois. Eina nisas lekahanim. They won't be able to marry kahanim at sheyaviu raya shehein ben esel shalzu, until you bring a raya that this is the mother of theirs and the mother's mucheses, but we won't be soymich on kruchim to allow to marry the kahuna. In other words, it's a weak chazaka. Rabbi Yochanan, no. Says Rabbi Yochanan, Yagis and Reish Lakish, afilu biyuchsin, even regarding yumsin will be soymich on the chazaka of karchim, of them being tied. Again, the evidence that this will, if we're going to believe in Linyan Truma, we're going to believe it the whole way. We're going to go the whole 9 yards. We're going to say this child is a full-fledged kohen, this girl is a biyuchas tika kohenes, and memela what she can marry a kohen. So Machlokes Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, to what extent do we believe this chazaka of karchim? Karchim literally be bound together, right? So right, Reish Lakish says only Linyan Truma, not Linyan Yuchsin, to marry a kohen. If it's a girl, according to Rabbi Yochanan, you would be able to marry. Okay, now very interesting Gemara. Says the Gemara, and v'azdu Rabbi Yochanan l'tamei, and Rabbi Yochanan goes according what to his reasoning that will be soymich on a chazaka. Right, Rashi says. Rashi is beautiful. Dama samchin lachazaka shahuchzaku likarach etzla, to be tied to her becheska shehi imoy, that this is mami. Afilu le'inyan dinei nefashos, even regarding dinei nefashos, we're going to see in a second. So now the halacha is if a man's with his mother, they get skila. If a father's with a daughter, they get sreifa. Okay. Now let's say you have a chazaka over here that this is the mother. If they were together, Rabbi Yochanan says they're going to get skila. Now, obviously, if you're getting skila, what must you hold? This is a full-fledged mami, or else you won't give him skila. Correct. So, in other words, Rabbi Yochanan saying le'inyan yuchsin will treat it like a full-fledged kohenes. It must be wide for us. Rabbi Yochanan tamei continues the Gemara that malkin al chazakos will give malchus on the chazaka. Cyclin will give skila. Visarfin will give sreifa al chazakos on this chazaka. However, the ein sarfin truma ala chazakos. You won't burn truma ala chazakos. Okay, so we said 3 dinim. 1, on this chazaka of being machzik, that this is the mother and father, mother and son, or mother and daughter, right? That we would go ahead and kill. We'll see in a second what that means. You'll get malchus. We'll see what that means. I didn't go in the right order. Malchus is first. And regarding burning truma. So let's see the Gemara. Don Rabbi Yehuda, Hochzaku nida b'shchuna seha. This woman is muchzik as a nida in a shchuna. Rashi says she was wearing clothing that went ahead and designated her as a nida. It's very interesting, when we think about how nida and its sneest. Remember, in those days, tumah v'taira, that was nida was much more white, not limited to tairas hamishpacha. That when you think of nida, you think of tairas mishpacha. Nida is an avatumah. A nida is an avatumah. Single girls would go to the mikvah. Single girls would go to the mikvah because they were avasatumah. They don't only go to the mikvah for tairas mishpacha. They went for tumah v'taira. So they wore clothing. I think that would go ahead and you recognize that she was a nida. And I guess and then you have muchsik. So this is a chazaka that she's a nida. This is a chazaka that she's a nida. So now, what happens if the husband's with her? You're going to get right baila like aleha. Her husband will get malchus based upon the huchsik, right? You don't have edus that she's a nida. You have huchsik. So that's the first din. Malkin al chazaka. What was the second din? Right. Kirab Rav Huna, Dam Rav Huna, Ish v'isha tina v'tinoika shegdilu b'soch habayis, niskolin ze al ze. If the mother's with her son, they'll get skila, and al ze, if the father's with a daughter, you get skila. Now, how do you know their sibling? How do you know their offspring? How do you know? You're muksik that they're living together, that it's offspring. So you'll go, you don't know edis. So two illustrations of chazaka, one the Inyan Malchus by Nida, and two the Inyan capital punishment of skil and sreifa what by living together. Now, Amr Rav Shimon ben Pazi, Amr Rav Yeshua ben Levi, Mishum bar Kapara, Maisa Beisa Achas Shabos Yerushalayim, Betina Imukrav La Al Kafel. It was a Maisa where a woman moved into Yerushalayim. She came to Yerushalayim with a child riding on her shoulders. She raised him, and he was boil her. They gave him skila, and not even that you know for sure. You didn't know you didn't have edus that this was a son. So this is Rabbi Yochanan Litamei, where he argues in Reish Lakish will be soimich on the chazaka of karchen aleha to even go ahead and give capital punishment of skila. Guys, you good? Okay, so we're chazaka. So chazaka neither was living the way she was dressed. The chazaka of just living together, that they lived together, and it was karech aleha. There was this ma'isa. And finally, vein sarfin truma ala chazaka. And this is going to be the next part of the share. Vein sarf. Now, there's two things in truma. If it's tamei vadai, guys, you burn it. If it's tamei safik, you just leave it. You can't eat it, but you can't burn it. Tamei safik. You can't eat it and you can't burn it. So he's holding, you would be able to go ahead and burn it. Vadai. You'd be able to sarfin. You don't burn it. The ain't sarfin shuma al chazakos. Dam Rav Shimon ben Lakish sarfin al chazakos. Reish Lakish says you would. Rabbi Yochanan ain't sarfin. You don't burn it on chazakos. Okay, and now we're going to go into that. Okay, so what we're set up. We had a. How do we get into this? The Mishnah said regarding Yuchsin, that if a child is karech after the mother and miyachas the mother, maybe it will miyachas the child as well. We went ahead now, we took a leap. What this yichus, to what extent will this chazaka do it? Says Reish Lakish, not fully. We're not going to go ahead and say she's a full-fledged kohen to allow her to marry into the kahuna. And Rabbi Yochanan says we would. And Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his reasoning. We bring 3 maimarim where Rabbi Yochanan said we would give malchus on an either based upon a chazaka. We'll go ahead and kill based upon a chazaka, the misa of capital punishment, the skila and streifa, and we won't burn truma on chazakos. As says Reish Lakish, we would. Says Rabbi Yochanan, we won't. And now we're going ahead and digressing to discuss this halacha about why wouldn't you burn. We're set up. Says the Gemara. For Azli Tamayu, they go according to the reasoning. It's none. Tinoik shenimsa bitsara isa. You find a tinoik, and he is sitting by the side of bread, of dough, ubatzek miyadai. And you know what he's got? He's got in his hands, he's got dough. So did he touch the dough? Yeah. Is he tamei? Maybe. What's the chazaka of him tamei? Where do kids play? In the garbage dump. What do you find in the garbage dump throughout Shas? Shkatzim, shmasim, hamas, all kinds of stuff you find there, right? And you're going to go ahead, Wadan, and he we're muchzik that he touched it, so he's tamei, and now he's going to go ahead, Wad, and touch the isa. Remeir mitaher. Remeir says it's tahar. The chachamim mitamayin, and the chacham say it's tamei. You know why? It's the derech of the tinok to go ahead and play in garbage. Bavinamba, my time to Remeir that it's tahar. Ksava roiv tinoikos mitapchen. Majority of kids are tamei. They play in garbage, they're tamei. Umiyot eimitapchim, and a minority are not. The Isa becheskas Taira medas, and this Isa was in the chazaka of Taira. The samich miuta of the small kids that don't, lechazaka will add it to the chazaka of of the dough, Israel ruba, and now it breaks the roiv of majority of kids, outside guys. I have dough. The dough I know is tahar. I have a kid. I know he touched the dough. There's no question about that. He has the dough in his hand. Good. Now, question is this: is this dough tummy or not? Is it tummy or not? What's the reason it should be tummy? Roiv kids are tummy. Why? Because roiv kids they played in garbage. In garbage, you'd find dead rodents and different things. So they would be a rishon l'tuma, a rishon can be metama what food, and they were metama this food. That's what the Chacham say. Says Rabbi, no. How could a mayor go connect a roiv? So Rabbi Meir says, you know how? I have a roiv and a chazaka. Now it's true, a roiv goes ahead and beats the chazaka, right? A roiv is better than the chazaka, but this is not stam a roiv. Rabbi Meir goes to the shitasoi. Rabbi Meir is always chayish lemiuta. We go throughout Shas. Rabbi Meir takes in the possibility of the minority. We saw it in the most famous cases in Yavamis where Rabbi Meir did not allow a katan or katana to have yibum done because maybe the yavam will be a saris and the katana will be an islandist. I roiv on that. He's chayish lemiuta. They might be. So that's Rabbi Meir's shita. So now, good. I have roiv that do, but I have a miyad of kids don't. I'm going to take the miyad of kids that don't. I'm going to get the chazaka of the dough that it was tahar, and the mele the dough will be tahar. So notice the roiv and the chazaka will trump the roiv. The miyad and the chazaka will trump the roiv. That what I'm telling you is now mamish pasha the raid. It's mamish dvarim sham oidim shmum shaloylim. This is I have written over here. Shas too is based on Levi chelik base and vav. It's good. My malkum. If you want to look it up, I didn't. Let's go weiter. Says the Gemara. So we have over here. We have according to Ameya, it's going to be tahar. Why? I'm going to take the miyat of kids who don't, put it to the chazaka of that it was tahar, and memela Israeli ruba, it breaks the roiv that are tamei. Rabbanan miyuta command the lesser dummy. The Rabbanan view the miyat like it's not there. So I have a robe and chazaka. What's our rule of thumb? Ruba v'chazaka, ruba adif. It's going to trump the roiv. Is going to trump the chazaka. Okay, now so far you have not said anything about Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. In this case, we said you're going to burn truma. You're going to burn this truma. In other words, the chachamim who say it's tameh, guys. To what extent is this tameh? I guess it must be truma. The isa the dough is truma, guys. To what extent is this dough of truma tameh? To the extent that we burn it, or the extent that we just can't eat it? Says Reish Lakish, you're going to burn it. This is not the chazaka that you're going to burn truma on, right? Even the Chacham say tameh, you know what tameh means? Tameh litlois. It's tameh that you can't eat it, but it's not strong enough chazaka to go in one and burn it. That's the machloikis. And so each one is going according to their shita, right? The same shita that they said, we said that this chazaka of truma that you're going to burn on a chazaka, they each go according to the shita. Again, let's outside one more time. Guys, outside one more time. You have dough of truma. You have a kid. He touched the dough. Question, is it tamei or not? Most kids are tamei. So I would say, yeah, it is. Right? Says the Chacham, you're right. Roiv kids, we have a chazaka that the dough was tahar. We have a roiv that's saying the kid's tamei. The roiv trumps the chazaka. Says Rameya, no. Says Rameya, you know what? Says Rameya, we have a miyat that do not play in garbage dumps. We'll take the miyat, we'll add it to the chazaka, it'll trump the roiv. You don't need Rameya for the Gemara, by the way. Why do we need? We need the chachamim. When the chachamim said it's tamei, what did they mean? Tamei to the extent that you're going to burn it, or tamei that you'll say it's suffix, it's tamei, right? Says Reish Lakish, tamei to burn. Says Rabbi Yochanan, this chazaka, that roiv kids, we're not going to burn it on. We're not going to burn it. Rabbi Yochanan, einzu chazaka is the sarf from truma. Ela eizu chazaka Rabbi Yochanan shesarf from truma. What is the chazaka that you will burn? The following case. Kiditanya. Let's change the gears. Like Kiditanya. Isa b'toich habayis. You have in your house, you have dough. Shrotzim utzvardim mitapim sham. Now shrotzim, right? You have shrotzim are now you have shrotzim are tamei and svardim are tahar. Rashi brings the difference between a tzov and a tzvardeya. Now they type tzov a toad. To me, a toad is a frog. Svardeya is a frog. This guy, the guy in the bottom here has a whole arichas exactly what the definition. This is going to get in the blog. The whole definition, exactly what constitutes a tzav. So this is where the classic tzvardeya is a crocodile. Do you ever hear that by tzvardeya was a crocodile? Right. So that's a crocodile is not a sheretz. Where a frog, a toy seems to be a sheretz. The bottom line is, for our Gemara, a sheretz is no good and tzvardeya is good. Okay, what we need is a sheretz being tamei and so that now. So you have Isa, and you find in this house shvatzim and tzvardim, and the nimsu chatichas beisa, and you find pieces of dough. Imrov shvatzim tameya, imrov tzvardim tahira. Now, this is where Rabbi Yochanan would say you go ahead and burn it vadai. Let's see Rashi. The nimsa chatichas beisa, then you do a imshal shvatzim or shal tzvardim. You don't know if it's pieces from shvatzim and it's tamei, or it's tzvardim and it's tahar. Imrov shvatzim, im abayis muchzekas liyosh shvatzim mitzuyim sham yosem mitzvardim tamei. Afli saref. You know why? The chazaka v'ruba the isakamon. You know, guys, when you say the same thing, this is a chazaka. What's the difference, Ovi? But if you're mitama something, a kid's mitama something, and it's in both cases, if it's truma, it's tame. Yet one Rabbi Yochanan says by kid you're gonna suspended animation, and over here burn. What's the difference in the chazakas? So Rashi tells you. Says Rashi, this is the chazaka deruba desakamon. Now. Guys, you have this house is what? Yeah. Roiv Shvatzim, right? Right? No, 1 second. Roiv Shvatzim, yeah? It's Roiv Shvatzim. Yeah. Now, you find the piece is separate. What do we say? Kol de parish, meruba parish. So this is considered a Roiv in front of us. Anything that from the famous butcher shops that it separates, so the male over here also. The Shiloh was in a Roiv. Oh, right. This is a Roiv, the Issa Kamon that's in front of us. Avalahi the tinak, the kid, ruba the lesser kamanhu. That's not a roiv. That's in front of us. So therefore, what we're going to say that it's a suffix. Okay, now Tanya Gavasi the Rabbi Yochanan back in the Gemara. Shnei devarim ein behem das lishol. Now this is a very very. If you remember, where do we learn that suffix tuma v'shus hayachid sveikat tamei? From Saita, right? You learn it from Saita. So we said every case has got to be dumya to Saita, correct? So my question is, you have to be able to ask. The Saita could tell you she did or she didn't, right? Can the kid tell you he did or he didn't? No. Can the sheretz tell you if he did or he didn't? No. So how in the world is it tamei? In other words, I have another problem over here. So let's introduce that concept. Let's throw that in the mix. Tanya Gavase the Rabbi Yochanan. It was a riot to Rabbi Yochanan. Is Shnei Dvarim, there are two things, Ein Behem Das Lishol. You can ask them. And since you can ask them, what's the halacha should be Sveikai Tahar, even B'Shus HaYachid. Because our whole paradigm is Saita, and a Saita you could ask, did you or did you not? Over here by kid and by Sheretz, you can't. But Asim Chachamim Kimo Sheyesh Behem Das Lishol. But the Chachamim made him as if they had das to answer you. Tinoik, the case of Tinoik, V'oid Acheres. Tinoik had Amaron, we said it's Tamei, the soft. V'oid Acheres Maihi, Isa B'toich Abayis, you have Isa of Truma in the house, V'tarna Goylim, Umashkin Tameim Sham, and you have chickens in the house. In addition, you have a liquid that's Tamei. The Nimsu, and you find what? The nimsu, and you find nikoirim beisa. You find peck in the dough. You find little peck, right? Toilin. Then you'll keep it in a state of suspended animation. Loy oichlin, you won't eat it. V'loy sarfin, but you won't burn it. You won't eat it, but you won't burn it. Okay. Says Rashi, toilin, imisa zu shel truma, chayshin and shema shasu hatarna goylin. The chicken drank from the mashkin that's tamei, and why the mashkin was still dripping in their beaks. Nikru beisa, they began pecking in the isa. Now, where's the riot Rabbi Yochanan? This is Tanya Kabas Rabbi Yochanan. will view them as if you have das to ask. Vishaninu ba'achsmen toilin mechal de tinoik toilin. It must be what? The case of tinoik is the one that's with toilin. Okay? So therefore, it says two cases. Isa, that case, Tarnagolim, that case, it says toilin. Guys, what's the machloikis by Isa? Says Reish Lakish, you burn it. Says Reish Yochanan, you toilin. Here's the case of Isa. You have a kid, you have a chicken. You have suffix in the dough. What does it say? Toilin. Tanya Kavos say Rabbi Yochanan that you're toilin, but don't burn. Again, guys, one more time. Let's wake up. One more time. You have machloikis. The Chacham say the Isa is tamei. What does it mean tamei? The true it's tamei to burn as vadai or toilin and maybe matame al suffix. Good. Says Rabbi Yochanan. Says Reish Lakish, you burn it. Says Rabbi Yochanan, you toilin. You keep it in suspended animation. Tanya Kavase, the Rabbi Yochanan, we're being right to Rabbi Yochanan from the case of chickens pecking and the tinoik. It says in two things that they made like you could ask, even though usually you're not tamei because you can ask, because saita you can ask, and we learn from saita. Over here, we're going to say, you know what, we'll make it like you can ask the chicken, did you do it? You ask the kid, did you do it? We'll make it that way. What's the halacha there? Toilin. So what do you see? In that suffix of Isa, toilin rather than sarfin. Good. There you go. That's your raya. Now we just finish business over here. Rabbi Shua ben Levi says Rabbi Shua ben Levi says Rabbi Shua ben Levi Lo shanu, this din that were choishish that they were matama the Isa elashem b'mashkin levonim, that the liquid was clear, it was white, and therefore it's not possible to recognize whether the mashka was in the Isa or not. Avol b'mashkin adumim. Let's say the liquid was red. In Isa the nikar, if in fact the chicken drank and pecked, made the yediyah, you would know. So therefore, everyone would agree if it's red liquid and you don't see it in the Isa, that it is what? It's tar. You don't see it's in Isa, it's tar. Says the Gemara, Vidilma Balitinu Isa. Maybe it was red and it got absorbed in the Isa. So Rabbi Yochanan, Dava Zeh Shama Baribi. I heard this din from a great person, right? And who was that great person? It was Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Uperushalei Shama. And I didn't hear the explanation of why, right? But this is what we can say. Loi Shanu, that were chayish, that it was absorbed in the Isa. El b'mashkin salulim. If it's very clear, it's not. It's very. It's what's the word? It's non-viscuous. El shmashkin salulin shebabua shel tinoik. It's so subtle that if a tinoik looked in it, he would see his reflection. Avol mashkin achurim. If it's very, very thick, and then choshin, then we're chayish that maybe it became. He says the opposite. Nivla be'isa. I learned the opposite way. I learned solo that you couldn't tell. How does Rashi learn? Right. Yeah, that Rashi learns the way I learned. Anyway, so if it's sulim, it's more mistaber to go ahead and get absorbed, and if it's acher, then not. So Rabbi Yochanan explains that even red liquid. You know what? I would be worried if it's salol, because maybe it gets absorbed, versus whether it's thick and then it's thick and it won't get it. Then you'll be able to see the stain and you would know for sure. Okay, next sugya, very famous sugya, the sugya of yichud, the sugya of yichud. This is sugya of yichud, very very interesting sugya. Now this Gemara, I'm gonna just. Okay, this is the sugya of yichud. There's three dargis of yichud. One is with an erva. One is a yichud with an erva. Anyone that you'd be with, it would be an issa karis or chayv misas bezdin. There's yichud pinuya, a single girl, and there's yichud with an akum. So here's the Gemara. The Gemara is in Avodah Zara, Daf Lamed Vav Amid Beis. Dam Rabbi Yehuda. Yichud ki asa ravin amar mishum nashkaz ki gazu beis dina shel chashmonayim bia av yichud loy v'asa inu gazu afilu yichud nami beis dina shel David gazru amar Rabbi Yehuda Boise Shah, where Amnon was Ma'anis' sister, Gozu al Yichud. Ama Hasam Yichud the Bas Yisrael. Ava Yichud the Bas Kechavim Loi. Vasi Inu Gozu Afila Yichud the Bas Kechavim. Yichud the Bas Yisrael the Raisa he. The Yichud the Bas Yisrael is the Raisa. Dam Rav Yochanan Mishum Rav Shimon ben Yohai Tzadik. Remes li Yichud min HaTorah. Where's the remes of Yichud from min HaTorah minayin? Now in Parshas Re'eh, in the Parshas of inciting your relative to do Avodah Zarah, it says He Sischa Achicha Beni Mecha. If he'll incite you, Beni Mecha, the son of your Beni Mech, the son of your mother. He ben aim mesis, ben av aina mesis. Will only a son, your maternal brother, be mesis, and not a paternal brother? Ela ben misyachid imimoy, right? A ben, this is telling me beremez beni mecha that a ben can be yachid with a mother. So that erva, a son is allowed to be with a mother. The ein achim misyachidim kol arayas shebetorah, but you can't be miyachid with any other one. Yichud deraisa, deishasish. So you're right. That pasuk tells me with an erva and eshes ish, the chiv misa, then it's the raisa from that pasuk of a penuya, a girl who is not married. Yichud was goes by David. David had a son Amnon who had a half sister Tamar, and he desired it very much. Until he was ma'anisar, and then Avshalom killed him and led to not good things. Okay, finally, and then there's the Yichud. What about with a Goyita, with a female, a Gentile? That was guys on Beis Shammai Beis Hillel usually disagree. They agree over here. So 3 levels of Yichud. Says the Mishnah, Lo yisyachid Adam im shtei nashim. A person should not be miyachid with 2 women. 1 man and 2 women is a no-no. Aval isha achas misyachedes im shnei anashim. But 1 woman with 2 men, provided that the men are ksherim, that they're normal, healthy people, most people that are maseh kosher, that would not be yichud. So 1 man with 2 women is not okay. 2 women with 1 man is, 2 women with 1 man is not okay. What am I talking about? 1 man with 2 women, right, is not okay. But 1 woman with 2 men is okay. Now, Reb Shimon Omer. Now, it's a big problem what Reb Shimon says, guys. Reb Shimon Omer, let's learn Pashat Pshat, and then we'll see another Pshat. Reb Shimon Omer, Af ish echad misyached im shtei nashim. Even 1 man with 2 women. Good. That's, in other words, and he's arguing on the Tanakama. And now he says a new halacha, ubizman she'ishtay imay. And the time when his wife is with him, then he would allow, if his wife is with him, he would allow to be with even 1 woman, right? It's because 2 women he allows, and if his wife is with him, even 1 woman would be allowed. That's partially what it's saying over here. If his wife is with him, then he would even be allowed with 1 woman. And the Chachamim Pashas would argue on both. If they argue with 2, they would argue on 1. In other words, they argue in the din of what? Of his wife being there also. You'd assume if his wife is there, that the guy is in a position of shimur, of being watched, correct? So that's Pashas, the way to learn. However, Tosfos does not learn like that. If you look at Tosfos, L'chein ner l'ri, he learns it as 1 long statement. Parallel to the second line of the Mishnah, L'kach ner l'ri, the Rabbi Shimon is speaking when his wife is not with him. The Rabbi Shimon eina oiser ela kishe'eni shtei imay. In other words, he's saying that Rabbi Shimon oimer af ish echad misyachim in shtei nashim. That's no problem. He could be miyachid. Ubisman she'ishtei imay, then yashin imay bepundikim if she'ishtei mishem rasa. Then he can even sleep in the same room in the same pundik if his wife is with him. V'yasa afil rabbanon, and then the rabbanon would agree. In other words, this din of Ishas Imay, even the Chacham would agree with. He'd only argue on the din with 2 women, but the din of 1 woman with. In other words, according to this, Rav Shimon is saying that if his wife is with him, it's 1 statement. When two women are permitted, that he argues with, and if his wife is with him, even 1, and I'm not saying this right. Moment time. He says if his wife is not with him, it's usher. Right? It's usher. But if his wife is with him, not only two, but even one. What? Where? When is it a problem? No, when is the problem? His wife not with you. But if your wife is with you, you're good. So again, what is he saying? The way he's learning over here is how's it changing? I thought I had it already. So one more time. So the way it's Pashut read over here is Rav Shimon is mattering only if his wife's with him. So read it like this: Rav Shimon Omer, Af ish echad misyachin shtei nashim bisman sheishtei. Read this one statement. You the Chachamim say what? 1, 2 don't work. Says Rav Shimon, if his wife is there, it does work. Good. If his wife is there, it does work. That's the Pashut Pshat, the way you would read it. And the Chachamim argue on the din what of his wife being with him, right? That's the way you'd learn. So 2, if it's 2, if your wife is with you, if it's 2 stam and your wife's not there, Reb Shimon would agree with the Chachamim. When would they disagree with the Chachamim? If ishta imay. If ishta imay, right. Now, what about 1? Guys, what about 1? No good. Outside, guys, outside. Listen to the words. The Chachamim said that you can't have yichud 1 man and 2 women. Rav Shimon said, if one of the women, right, if his wife is there, you could be miyached with 2. What about 1? No. That's Pashut the way to learn. Good. So 1, even if Shimon's Maida Ish the Imoy doesn't work. Read it like this. Let me read it straight through. Rav Shimon Naima, Af Ish Echad Misyachin Shtei Nashim Bizman Sheishtei Imoy. Good. If his wife is with him, you could be miyached with 2. What happens if with 1? No. Even if your wife's with you. And the Chachamim would argue across the board. Good. That's one way to learn. Now let's look at Tosfos. L'kach ner l'ri, the Rav Shimon eina oiser ela kishe'ein ishtay imay. If his wife is with him, it's always going to be mutter. Even 1 would be mutter, right? Dafka v'hachi gasinan. Rav Shimon oimer af ish echad misyachinim shtei nashim stam. Guys, that's it. He's arguing. You don't need your wife with you. Says Rav Shimon, 1 man and 2 women is not yichud. He's arguing in the Chachamim. And you know what? Ubizman sheishtay imay, then yashin imay bepundik b'fnei sheishtim mishamasai. So even with 1 would work. So the Tosfos is learning different than the Mishnah. That's that Aleph. You see that Aleph in the Gra? He changes it also. Okay, so let's go through the different. Let's go through the different stadim over here. According to the Chachamim, 1 man, 2 women, no go. According to the first pshat, according to the Pashut pshat, Reb Shimon agrees with that. However, if one of the women with 2 women is your wife, your wife with 2 women, then that's okay. Good. What about 1? It's never okay. That's the way to learn. And the Chacham disagree with the whole thing. There's another way to learn. It's 2 separate statements. The Chacham say 1 man and 2 women, no. Says Reb Shimon, 1 man and 2 women, yes. Nothing to do with your wife. 1 man, 2 women, yes. Good. And now, if your wife's with you, I feel 1. Okay, that's it. Let's finish up. Now, misyachid adam im imoy v'im bitay, when they're ketanim, a man can be misyachid with his mother and his daughter. If they can even v'yeshi mayim kir of basa, they can sleep in the same bed. The migdilu, once they get older, zu yeshana b'ksusa, v'zeh yashin b'ksusa. Again, they had very small houses in those days. They slept together. And as they get older, they would not sleep a kir of basa. They would with open flesh. They would cover themselves. So as they get older, there is obviously Indian. It's again just keeping the separation despite the fact that it's an erva, but the Beis Shmuel in Siman Chav Aleph Sifkat and Tezvav says that chibur v'nishik would still be mutter. You say the child gets older, you're still able to hug and kiss your mother. You know what I'm saying? You can say the mission, they get older, you have to separate. No. Now, my timer, what's the reason that one man and two women is no go? Tanad Be'eliyahu, Hoyel v'noshim daitin kalis, since women are very gullible, I'll lay him. In other words, they're going to go ahead, they can be talked into an illicit relation, and the other one will cover up the other one because they would do the same thing. Mashenki in a man, there's embarrassment. Nani Mili, how do you know Yichud is the Raisa, guys? This should sound familiar. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Vishmoel Remes leIchud min Torah Minayin. What's the Remes? Nemar Ki Yisischa Achicha Benimecha. If he'll go ahead and he will entice your brother, the son of your mother. The Ben Aim Mesis. Only the son of a maternal brother will be a Mesis. Ben Av ain't a Mesis, but a paternal brother won't be a Mesis. Elolim Lecha Ben Misyachin and Imoya Ben can be Misyachin and mother. And the male, if you need a pasuk to tell me that a ben can be misyachin and a mother, therefore, I would infer that you need a pasuk to remize that you could be misyachin with your mother. It must be all the other arroyas. You cannot. Now, pashli the krab in my ksiv. What's pashit pshat in the pasuk, guys? What's pashit pshat in the pasuk? Amar Rabbi, let me boy kamar, let me boy. Now, who is more mistaba to hate you, your paternal brother or your maternal? You didn't think about it, right? When it comes to Geld and under a Welt, right? Who do you have to deal with? Your paternal brother. Maternal, you're both inheriting from different fathers. They're not the same ballpark. So that's his Pashim shot. Amar Baya, let me boy Ben Av, the son of Lay, that he hates him. The Yayitzlay hates us, especially to kill him to get he'll tell me over the Zara, so he'll get all the Yerusha. But so let me boy Ben Av the son. Elafilu ben Aim, the loy sonny lay doesn't hate him. Aim at Saisley. I might think that he should listen to him to do Avodah Zarah Kamash Malan. Okay, name of Masnisan, our Mishnah that is it says us to miyachid with two women like Abishal. Our Mishnah says you can't be miyachid with two women. Let's say it's not like Abishal. The Tanya, Kol Shloishim Yoim Yotza B'Chek. If a child dies before 30 days old, they used to have they'd have a buyer, B-I-R-E-R, buyer, a funeral buyer. Beer, is that the right word? Yeah. They had a way of carrying out babies that less than 30 they would carry out and they would hold them. They would just hold them. So less than 30 days b'chek, v'nikba b'isha achas, and it can be buried with one woman, shtei nashim, and two men. Avaloi b'ish echad shtei nashim. Now the graveyards, they were outside the city, so you have a potential yichud problem over here. If you're going to go ahead and one woman with two men, right, that's okay. But but two women and one man is not okay. So, however, Abishal says this okay. Says the Gemara, because of this problem we said in the Mishnah of Yichud, one man with two women. Even one man with two women would be a problem. So let's say Abishal is a Tana, argues on a Mishnah. Our Mishnah says one man and two women is a problem. He says, no, go bury the child, one man, two women, not a problem. What about Yichud? I feel him Abishal. B'shas aninois tava yitzra. The time of aninis, it's the yitzra is broken. The yitzra, and therefore you're not going to be thinking about snus, and therefore, I agree with the Mishnah. One man and two women is not good, but in this scenario where you're burying a child, it's okay. Rabbanan Savi. What about the Rabbanan? Rabbanan Savi. Look, Reb Yitzchak. Dom Reb Yitzchak. Pasuk in Eicha says, "Ma yisoinat adam chai, gever al chatav." What does that mean? Afilu b'shas aninusai. Even in the time of the ninus of Adam, when a person is misainain, yitzrei miskaber alav. The yetz is miskaber on him, and therefore the Chacham say even the time of this, one man and two women is not okay. What is this pasuk speaking about? A person complaining about the things that a Kadosh Baruch Hu goes ahead with and cheats him. They said, what? It's enough I give him life. Right? Look at this unbelievably famous Rashi, guys. You have to see the Lashon of Rashi. Everyone inside. How can a person complain? Says Rashi. Why should a person complain? Why should a person complain about anything that happens to him? This trouble, that trouble, this thing, that thing, this Yisurim, all these terrible things. Why should a person complain? After all, all the chesed that I do with him. What is that? I give him life. And I don't kill him. As long as you have life, you have everything. There's a very famous piece in the Sichas Musa from Chaim Shmulevitz. There's a well-known medrash. It says there were three people who were miyayitz Paro. They were Bilam, they were Yisro, right? Bilam and Yisro, and there was Eiv. Bilam was miyayitz to kill the Jews, throw them in the river, right? And Eiv was quiet, and Yisro ran away. So Bilam, who was miyayitz, he got killed. Eiv, who kept quiet, he was Eiv. And Yisro, who ran away, he was zoichet to have children that sat in the Sanhedrin. Descendants of Moshe Rabbeinu, they sat in the Sanhedrin. If I'd ask you who got the worst of the lot, who would you answer? You'd answer Eiv. You answer Eiv. You answer Eiv, right? Says Rav Chaim, Eiv was alive. Where's his proof? His proof is from this Rashi, from this Gemara. How could a person complain anything that happens to him when I give him life? No matter what Yisurim Eiv have, he didn't. What does Kodesh Baruch Hu tell the Malach? The Satan, you could do everything but kill him. You could do everything but kill him. You have life, you have everything. That's the Chaim put right from here. And therefore, Eiv did not get the worst punishment. Bilam was killed, got the worst punishment. So therefore, over here, that's the way the Chacham explained the pasuk, and that's why you'd have to worry about. You'd still have to worry about 1 man and 2 women. Okay, there was a Maisa. Rashi brings a Maisa where you can't believe how, you think about how this woman took a live child, made believe the child was dead, went out to the cemetery, and a few men with her, and they did the action. So you see that even this time, Rashi brings another girsa that that's all the words of Abba Shaul, and Abba Shaul says that it's not going on this nus, it's going on, how can you complain when I give you life? And this woman complained that her child died and she cried too much until she lost all her children because she kept on crying and crying. But there's a Tosfos here that is beyond comprehension about a Maisa where a woman buried her husband, and there was a shomer there in the cemetery, and he was watching over a body that was hung. The king had hung a body, and his job was to hang the body. Well, he had other interests in mind, and this woman just buried her husband. Guess what? She was with this guy who hung the guy. They finished the Maisa, they come back, and lo and behold, guess what? There's no body there. This guy was the shomer on this body. So the woman said, no problem, let's dig up my husband, we'll hang him up. Right? Tosfos brings the Maisa. Don't put that in. We don't need that in the blog. Tosfos, he's smiling. His fingers are already working. It's a Tosfos. It's a Tosfos. Okay, very good. Ad kedei kach, you see the power of znus is so powerful. It's amazing. And in Megillah, Daf Chaf Aleph, the reason why you laying the Pasha B'Achrayis is because women are mekashet to go to shul, they dress up, and who knows what a person's thinking, even on Yom Kippur. Okay, we'll stop over here.